Yes, good evening, USA, Canada, International, Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens, and to all the sports fanatics and supporters out there, welcome to the show. This is your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, YouTuber, host with the most, misunderstood, lonely nomad, unstoppable, independent podcaster, um, independent podcaster. Yes, misunderstood lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, and rookie podcaster of Lord Lawton, Queens, New York. And you're rocking and hanging out with the 57th episode of the Sports Edition show of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast. Yes, where we talk about everything in sports as far as the stories behind it, whether it's baseball, basketball, football. Of course, there's there's tennis, and among other things. We are live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube. And aside of myself, it's the Instagram live feed. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you can be reminded of when the show goes in the air, especially with the reminder of enabling the alerts so you can know the time and the day that it's going to start. Leave a like and a comment along with the episodes and the sports topics. Grab that subscribe button for me on the Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast YouTube sports channel page. Yes. And of course, be sure to stay tuned for more video content, upcoming episodes, previous episodes, and of course, be sure to listen, stream, watch the episodes in case you miss any of them. Don't you worry. And and also download these episodes, share the episodes, share the videos, tell a friend to another friend, and of course, be sure to um be sure to you know spread the word. Word of mouth is important, and all that great stuff. I will go over where you can listen to the episodes so you can know exactly where to listen to. And first and foremost, before we even get into the quick side bleacher bar segment, I'd like to actually say something about this. You want to support this podcast along with the other podcast shows that I do, you can go ahead to my Cash App, which is $ G Money Stacks 555. That's $ capital G, lowercase MONEY, capital S, lowercase TACKZ 555. You don't have to be from a rich family to show moral support. It's all about doing the best you can on whatever amount of money you decide to choose to donate that you desire will be appreciated. So there you have it right there. Also, you can leave a 5-star rating on Podchaser alongside with Podfriend and of course Spotify as well. 5-star rating will be appreciated. You can share the episodes on Spotify and other streaming platforms that I will mention later on. All right. And so there you have it there. Now, um today's episode we are going to be discussing the cause and effect with a hold on a second. Let me just get the title right here. Yes, so let me see. Let me just get the title of the episode name first before I begin. And okay. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Um, let's see. Hold on. Okay, time for the quick side bleacher bar. All right, let's get into it right here. Um, just a sec. Yes, so today's episode is baseball related, and we're going to be discussing the cause and effect with a new Mets teammate, which is Carlos Correa. All right, so this is based on the ripple effect of things. So the main thing we can talk about here is, hold on a second. Hang on a minute here if I could find it. Hang on. Yes, so here it is. So the first topic in our episode we need to talk about is um we need to talk about Carlos Correa, and then the rest is going to be secondary here. So um okay, hold on a minute here. Um Okay, we're going to talk the ripple effect of things. Okay, so the ripple effects of Carlos Correa. Let's discuss that. Um, and this is from SNY.TV. For those of you who may not know, that's where you watch the Mets baseball games. And here it is. So hold on a minute. So this was like 2 months ago, actually. The Mets introduced Kodai Senga on Monday. On Tuesday, it was Justin Verlander who got the pomp and circumstance at Citi Field, as GM Billy Epler talked about finishing the offseason by adding around the margins soon after, saying most of the Mets' heavy lifting was done. Maybe New York, maybe New York um, would reunite with Michael Conforto or sign someone like Trey Mancini. Perhaps their last big move of the offseason would be trading for Chicago White Sox closer Liam Hendricks, whom they were linked to on Tuesday shortly after the Verlander news conference ended. Nope. The Mets' last enormous move we think of what has been a truly historic offseason in terms of spending was owner Steve Cohen leading the charge as they came to an agreement with the star infielder Carlos Correa on a 12-year deal worth $315 million in the middle of the night as Tuesday became Wednesday and most of the baseball world was asleep. $315 million. Not sure if it was worth it, but let's get it. We'll get into it though. Um, and it wasn't the time of night. It broke around 3 a.m. That was the most disorienting thing about it. No, it was that Correa had recently agreed to a 13-year, $350 million deal with the San Francisco Giants after the Mets made a bid. That deal hit a snag on Tuesday due to something that came up in Correa's physical, but the breakneck speed at which Correa went from a Giant to a Met was one of the wildest turns of events in the history of free agency. That is not hyperbole. So what now? The Mets, oh boy, 350. So okay, the Mets, with an astonishing payroll of roughly $384 million, are now full of superstars, and they've added all those stars without having to give up any of their young talents. Um, and as SNY contributor Joe DiMaio pointed it out, none of the players the Mets have signed this offseason were attached to the qualifying offer. That means the Mets didn't even lose any draft picks during the spree. With Correa now on board pending a physical and set to play third base next to Francisco Lindor at shortstop, here's what the ripple effects could be. Um, is that it? Is that it for the huge moves? As we found out over the last few months, it will never be wise to say the Mets and Cohen are definitely out on anyone or that they are done making splashes of any kind. But it kind of feels like the Mets are now set with their offense, and that signing Conforto or Massini would be super flourish with the amount of firepower that is now in the lineup with the addition of Correa. As far as elsewhere on the roster, and SNY's Andy Martino suggested Wednesday morning that a pursuit of Hendricks was still possible. And with the Mets possibly shedding some salary in the coming weeks, not that they have to, fitting in Hendricks' $14 million salary for 2023 wouldn't be a stretch. Hmm. Um. Okay, so it wouldn't be a stretch though. So regarding what the agreement with Correa could mean for potential big moves at the trade deadline and or next season, the Mets have plenty of money coming off the books after the season and in the coming seasons, which we'll delve into a bit. So, what does this mean for Eduardo Escobar? With Correa at third base pending passing physical, of course, Escobar is now a man without a position. If the Mets keep Escobar, he could be the perfect short end of a DH platoon with Daniel Vogelback, since the switch hitting Escobar is much better against left-handers than right-handers. Um, if the Mets decide to trade Escobar, who is set to earn $10 million this season and has a club option for for 2024 worth $9 million with a $500,000 buyout. It shouldn't be difficult to find a taker, and the Mets would be able to shed some money in the process. Again, not that they have to. Hmm. Not that they have to. Escobar struggled for a while in 2022 in his first season with the Mets, but he caught fire late in the season, slashing .321, .385, .596 with 8 homers over the last 30 games of the season, spanning September 1st to October 4th. In addition to Escobar, the Mets could also possibly deal Carlos Carrasco and or James McCann, who got traded to the Baltimore Orioles, with Martino reporting recently that they were both being dangled on the trade market. What about Brett Baty and the prospects? Before the Mets agreed to terms with Correa, Baty, who impressed in his first taste of the majors in 2022, showing off a polished approach at the plate and flashing high exit velocities, was the heir apparent at third base. Now, with Correa expected to be at third base for the next 12 years, Baty's exposure to left field will get accelerated, Martino reported on Wednesday. Baty has played primarily third base in the minors, but he started 11 games there in 2022 after starting 18 games there in 2021. So perhaps Baty is the Mets opening day left fielder in 2024 if Mark Canha leaves in free agency, or maybe Baty starts splitting time with Canha there this season. When it comes to Ronnie Mauricio, who has who was just named the Dominican Winter League MVP, he is now blocked on the infield, and he might also be blocked in the outfield, where he was expected to start transitioning to during spring training. As far as Francisco Alvarez, this changes nothing. He is still the Mets catcher of the future, whether he takes the reins by opening day in 2023 or sometime after. Is the payroll too high now to go after Shohei Ohtani? No, there are two reasons why the Mets should still have a serious shot at landing Ohtani, either via trade this summer with the thought of being to extend him, or via free agency after the 2023 season. The first is that the influx of cost-effective prospects soon, including Baty and Alvarez this season, will help knock the payroll down significantly. The second is that the Mets should have at least $66 million coming off the payroll after the 2023 season, and that number could reach $109 million if Max Scherzer opts out, and rise even higher if Adam Ottavino opts out. Wow. Okay, so the Mets, aside from the pending deal with Correa, only have three other long deals on the books: the ones to Lindor, Edwin Diaz, and Brandon Nimmo. And their biggest deals in terms of annual value, $43.3 million to Verlander and Max Scherzer, will be off the books after either 2024 or 2025. Meanwhile, the Mets' overall salary commitments dropped sharply in 2025 and 2026, creating additional room for Ohtani should the Mets decide to pursue him. All right, up next. Let me see. Up next, yes, Carlos. Yes, yes, we're gonna talk about Carlos Correa. Actually, yeah, let's talk about Carlos Correa. So let's see. Okay, so as long As long last, the saga of Carlos Correa's free agency has finally officially come to an end. Correa was formally reintroduced as a Twin in a press conference on Wednesday, finalizing a 6-year, $200 million deal that returns the star shortstop to Minnesota. The media address concludes a bizarre offseason journey in which Correa reached agreements with two other clubs, the Giants and the Mets, that eventually fell through after he underwent physical exams that gave teams pause about the health of his ankle. On Wednesday, Correa addressed those concerns, saying that he too was caught off guard by the deals falling apart. One thing I learned throughout the whole process was that doctors have a difference of opinions, Correa told reporters. I had a lot of doctors tell me that I was fine. I had some doctors that said it wasn't so fine. It was shocking to me because since I had the surgery, I never missed a game. I never got treatment in my ankle. My ankles never hurt. Correa originally agreed to a 13-year $350 million agreement with San Francisco, but the team had concerns regarding their review of Correa's medical information. Then Correa agreed to a 12-year, $350 million deal with the Mets, and the same thing happened. Wow. Correa signed with the Twins last offseason after previously spending his entire career with the Astros. He hit 291, 366, 467 with 22 home runs and 64 RBIs in 136 games before opting out of his 3-year, $105.3 million contract in October. Wow. Wow. Okay. Correa said Wednesday that he took 3 physicals in 2022 and all resulted in a clean bill of health. He also said his body has never felt better and he's happy with how his free agency journey ultimately ended up. I'm happy to be here in Minnesota. I'm happy to be a Twin, Correa said. We started something special last year and there's some more work to be done. Okay. And also in Carlos Correa news, he turns down the deal. So the wait is finally over, and the outcome isn't what Mets fans wanted to hear. Carlos Correa is in an agreement with the Minnesota Twins after the two sides agreed upon a 6-year, $200 million deal on Wednesday. First reported by ESPN Jeff Passan, the deal, which is pending a physical, has a 4-year vesting option that can max out at $270 million. Okay, so the switch comes nearly 3 weeks after the 28-year-old, his agent Scott Boras, and the Mets initially agreed upon a 12-year, $315 million deal on December 22nd after his 13-year, $350 million pack with the San Francisco Giants fell through after concerns were expressed about his medicals. Per multiple reports, the Mets' final offer included the same 6 years that were guaranteed by the Twins, but for $157.5 million, $43.5 million less than the Minnesota offered. Non non guaranteed options in the proposal also would have paid him $210 million, and after years and $315 million over 12. Hmm. Negotiations were kept tight-lipped for the first 2 weeks of talks until Boris leaked to John Heyman of the New York Post on January 5th that he began fielding calls from another team believed to be the Minnesota Twins. The Mets appeared to counter a day later than SNY's Andy Martino reported that the team was very frustrated with Correa's camp and considered walking away altogether. Correa surgically repaired lower right leg stemming from a fractured fibula suffered before he even touched the majors in 2014 is what also rose a red flag with the Mets and thus began the lengthy stalemate as new language was parsed through in hopes of an agreement to secure the star in Queens. Since his MLB debut in 2015, Correa has slashed 279, 358, 479, and 836 OPS with 162 game averages of 28 home runs and 101 RBIs. It's important to note, however, that Correa has played more than 140 games in a season just twice over his first 8 pro seasons. He batted 291 with an 834 OPS, 22 home runs, and 64 RBIs in 136 games last season with the Twins, his first and only year with the AL Central club after 7 with the Astros. Hmm. Okay, so I guess it wasn't really worth it. I guess it wasn't worth it though, you know what I'm saying? So I think the Mets probably moved on, probably looked for somebody better. You know what I mean? So yes, so there it is right there, man. Now Mark Canha, yes. Yes, so Mark Canha understood there wasn't an abundance of high-end inventory, so he relieved the Mets were so aggressively in filling a rotation void. On Monday, the team reached agreement with Justin Verlander on a 2-year contract worth $86.6 million, giving the Mets a suitable replacement for Jacob DeGrom, who last week signed with the Rangers. Verlander, age 39, will give the Mets a co-ace alongside Max Scherzer. Wow, $86.6 million. And and okay, so and he stated, "You love to see it," Canna told the Post. "At least on my end, when Jake goes to the Rangers, you are thinking there's only so many aces out there and the numbers are getting smaller. It felt like we had to make a move quickly, and I'm sure the front office kind of felt that pressure too, and they made it happen, which is awesome to see." Um, okay, so Verlander last month won his third Cy Young award. After going 18 with a 1.75 ERA for the Astros, as somebody who used to play for Oakland and compete against Verlander with the same division, can appreciate what the Mets are receiving. He said, in quote, "It kind of feels like whenever you face Verlander, it's like a dance," said Canna, who is 5 for 14 lifetime against the right-hander with a home run. It's a true chess match because about his repertoire. You know what you know what he is trying to do, but he has got so many different ways to get you out. There are so many weapons in his arsenal, and the way he plays with it, I always say it's fun to hit against him. It's really hard, but interesting what he is going to do. Canha previously told the Post he believed DeGrom would remain with the Mets in part because of his conversations with the pitcher that included DeGrom saying he wanted to return. Um, but Canha said he wasn't shocked to hear um, DeGrom accepted Texas at offer of $185 million over 5 years. The contract includes a vesting option of a sixth year that increases the total value to $222 million. The Mets offered about $110 million over 3 years. 3 years. 3 years. Yeah. 3 years. What the hell is going on here? 3 years. Oh boy. One second. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. He also said, I was being truthful. Jake told me he wanted to stay, and I am sure he did, Kenneth said. But free agency is such an interesting thing because you go into it thinking one thing, and you kind of have to, even your own thoughts, you have to take with a grain of salt because you have to react to what the market is telling you. And I think that is what he did. It didn't surprise me having gone through the process last year. You have expectations, but you can't really have expectations because you have no idea what is going to happen and what other people are thinking, which is true. This is true. This is very true. Candace said any fan anger towards DeGrom is misguided. Jake is an honest person, and I think he speaks candidly whenever he does, Candace said. People are mad, their feelings are kind of hurt, and people on Twitter are even mad at me for the previous comments. As a player, you are empathetic toward free agency and the player's plight because you know you are subjected to whatever the market is doing, and you have to take and you have to make a decision. I'm happy for Jake. Wow. I want to make some noise, man. Wow. Let's make some noise for Marcana and basically informing the people on Twitter and the fans and stuff about what's going on, man. He really the way he answered that question was really, really, really dope though. That's dope right here, man. And by the way, spring training already began for the Mets. So they're not gonna start the first game is not going to I'm gonna pull up the schedule for it in a second. But let me make some noise. I actually agree with this, man. I really do. I really do agree with this. Because you never know what might be going on in a person's head or whatever, especially with the trade rumors and stuff. That can be scary too. So yeah, I have to agree with that right there. And let's see what else we have on this table here. Oh, right. Okay, so let's get into okay, so let's get into let's get into so let's get into um let's get into the Mets chart entering spring training. So the Mets are coming off a 101 win campaign that ended without an NL East title. And with playoff heartbreak, excuse me, in the wild card run round against the Padres. The most expensive roster in baseball history comes with a revamped starting rotation that includes reigning AL Cy Young winner Justin Verlander stepping in to take the place of Jacob DeGrom. Jacob DeGrom, who is now a Texas Ranger. Much of the everyday roster looks almost the same after the Mets were unable to close the deal with star Carlos Correa amid an issue with the All Stars medicals. It will also open up chances for a number of the organization's top um, prospects, especially third baseman Brett Baty, that may finally be able to help the team at the MLB level. So here's a list. Here is the 2023 depth chart entering spring training. So we have Omar Narvaez, Tomas Nido, and Francisco Alvarez. We got first baseman Pete Alonso, Darren Ruff, who actually played first base, of course, and Daniel Vogelback. And second baseman, you got Jeff McNeil, Luis Guillorrme, who is still a Met. So he's not going anywhere but being with the Mets. Danny Mendick, shortstop Francisco Lindor. Of course, Luis Guillorme can play different positions. You got second base, you got shortstop, you got third base, of course. Ronnie Mauricio, and you have third base Eduardo Escobar, Luis Guillorme, and then Brett Baty. Then you have left field Mark Canha, the primary player over there, Tommy Pham, who just got signed, and Jeff McNeil. And then center field, you got Brennan Nimmo, the primary player in that role, who won that position, by the way. He's a better player than Starling Marte. I hate to say this. And then you have Mark Canha, who also could play who could play center field as well. And right field, Starling Marte, Jeff McNeil, and then Mark Canha. Designated hitter, Daniel Vogelback, Darren Ruff, and Tommy Pham. And you have and the pitchers, you have Justin Verlander, right-handed pitcher Max Scherzer, Kodai Senga, Jose Quintana, Carlos Cookie Carrasco, David Peterson, and Tyler McGill. The bullpen is Edwin Diaz, David Peterson, Adam Ottavino, Brooks Raleigh, Drew Smith, John Curtis, Tommy Hunter, Jeff Bigham, um, Elisir Hernandez, Zach Green, and then Steven Nogosek. Okay, so let's see. Um, Before I get to who will be the third baseman, let me get into the obvious Luis Guillorme. Um, Let me just say this though. And it's interesting to see and and I really think that this is long overdue, man. It's been it's been long overdue. Luis Guillorme needs to get that Golden Glove award. So this is what's going on here, man, according to SNY. Luis Guillorme has established himself as one of the smoothest infielders in all of baseball, and his 2022 season was no exception, as he committed just 3 errors while splitting time at second base, third, and shortstop for the Mets. Yet, when the National League announced its first ever utility player Gold Glove last season, it was Brandon Donovan of the St. Louis Cardinals, not Guillorme, who took home the award. So, as the 28-year-old heads into 2023 spring training, he still has his sights set on being recognized officially as one of the best defenders in the league. And he says, same thing as last year. For me, my main goal my whole career has also been that I want a gold glove, Guillaume told SNY on Sunday morning. So that's really what I'm sticking to right now. The 2023 season will likely give Guillorme a prime opportunity to show what he can do, as MLB has banned the extreme shifting that has become a big part of the game in recent years. Now, with teams only being able to have two infielders on either side of second base, players like Guillaume will be able to show off their range even more so than in the past. For me, on the offensive side of it, it's great, he said. It gives me a little more room to play, I guess you could say, and make a couple more plays that haven't happened in the past. Guillaume was on hand on Sunday morning for the Mets swing into spring training, 5K at Clover Park, as he and other players have already begun filtering into the team's training facility for spring training. And as Guillaume explained, he's more than ready to get things going in 2023. I'm excited. I'm ready to get out the house, get out of my house, he said with a smile. I'm tired of being home with nothing to do besides working out. I'm ready to go. And yes, I can't wait I, I can't. Everybody can't wait for Guillaume to actually get a Gold Glove award. It's been long overdue, man. Like you see him make a couple of plays too, and very impressive. And you know what's funny? You know what's funny though? I was very impressed when he hit 22 foul balls. 22. No other player than Luis Guillorme has ever did that before, man. That's actually a lot of fun to see. Now, as he said in the in throughout the year of 2023, he hopes to be recognized as the best player to get a Gold Glove award. I mean, come on, it's been long overdue. If Francisco Lindor could get a Gold Glove, why can't Luis Guillorme? Like, think about it though, man. And I actually agree with him with this. Yeah. And okay, so who is going to be the primary third baseman? That's a good question. That is a good question. That's a good question. Let's see. So the question is, who will be the Mets third? Hang on 1 second as this plane goes by. Okay, so the question is, who will be the Mets third baseman after 2023? That's a good question. When the Mets appeared to be signing Carlos Correa, they were set to try out Correa and Francisco Lindor on the right side of the infield for years to come. Alas, that's not happening, and it's time to move on. Without Correa, the Mets' long-term solution at third base remains in flux. The 2023 season will see Eduardo Escobar um, likely man the hot corner once again for New York as he finishes out the second year of his 2-year contract he signed in 2021. Escobar was average a season ago with a scorching September helping make up for a new dreadful months earlier in the season. He slashed 240, 295, 430 with 20 homers and 69 RBIs. While Escobar is a fine third baseman to have next season, it's an open question what will happen after that. Here are some of the candidates for the Mets will install at third base in 2024 and beyond. Okay, Brett Baty. As of today, Brett Baty is the overwhelming favorite to be the team's third baseman in 2024, but a lot can change in a year. Baty is one of the Mets' top prospects and has a smooth swing with power that evaluators think will translate to the big league level. We saw evidence of that when Baty got the call up last September, and he delivered a memorable first big league hit against the Braves. Still, it's important to remember a few things about Baty at this point. He remains only 23 years old and has played 17 total games above the double A level, 11 in the big leagues and 6 in triple A. There are also questions that remain about his defense at third. Although Baty's defense held up decently well during his short stint in the majors, you could see there was still some work that needed to be put into make him an above average player at that position. Baty got reps in left field in 2022, and if the Mets believe he translates better long term as an outfielder, they will need to look elsewhere to find their permanent third baseman. While unlikely, there's also still the possibility that the Mets use Baty as a trade piece to acquire an elite talent mid-season, like say Shohei Ohtani. Baty's development in 2023 is crucial to seeing where he fits in the Mets' future plans. The team will remain in win now mode as long as Stephen Cohen is the owner. And if Baty is not ready to be an everyday big league player by opening day 2024, the Mets will need to make alternative plans. Manny Machado, two names will generate the majority of the attention in the next year's free agent class. Otani and Manny Machado. Machado once again put up MVP caliber numbers in 2022 and will have an opt out after next season, where he can hit free agency at age 31. With Cohen, the Mets can't be ruled out for any elite free agent, and Machado would certainly fill a position of need. While it feels more likely as of now that they would aggressively pursue Otani over Machado, that may depend largely on how the team feels about Baty following this season and how the Mets' overall offensive unit performs in 2023. Matt Chapman, besides Machado, the next best free agent third baseman next season is Matt Chapman. Chapman is a 3-time Gold Glove winning player at the position and will turn 31 in the 2024 season. Chapman's overall offensive numbers have fallen off the last 2 years, but he did club 27 homers in both 2021 and 2022. Now, as far as Eduardo Escobar will be the Mets' primary third baseman once again in 2023. but it seems unlikely he will retain that role beyond this season. Escobar will enter the 2023 season at age 34, and his contract is up following this year. Still, if Escobar produces at a high level this year and questions remains about Baty's readiness, there's no reason why he couldn't be back in the mix as a candidate to bring back in 2024 and continue to keep the seat warm before transitioning into a bench role. The Mets have a $9 million um, club option on Escobar's contract that they can utilize if they believe he can still be a valuable asset for the 2024 season. $9 million. And this is going to be interesting to see. Um, this is going to be very interesting to see. I will look up the schedule of the spring training games on SNY and Pix 11 in a few minutes. So stick around for that one. Hang on. All right. Here we are. While unlikely due to his lack of above average offensive skills, you can't rule out Luis Guillorrme as the Mets third baseman in 2024. Guillorrme is an elite defensive player whose primary two positions are blocked long term by Jeff McNeil and Francisco Lindor. If he finds a way to add his offensive repertoire in 2023, perhaps the Mets will give him a shot due to the lack of attractive third baseman available in the 2023 free agent market. Um, other than besides Machado and Chapman, there are no other elite third basemen set to enter the open market after this season. But if something happens with Baty, perhaps the Mets could turn to the likes of Josh Donaldson, Justin Turner, or Gio Urshela as a short-term solution. There's also always the possibility of a trade bringing in someone unexpected. And one other name that has not been mentioned yet is Mark Vientos, another of the Mets' top prospect. Although Vientos has played third in the past, including 59 games for Syracuse last season, it seems unlikely he will stick at that position and projects more as a first baseman or DH type. Ronnie Romicio also started playing some third base in Lindum this off season, moving away from shortstop for the first time in his professional career. Mauricio is unlikely to be ready to play third at the big league level by 2024, but he's a potential option there for down the road if the Mets hold on to him. And the final thoughts: without Correa, the long-term third base job is Baty's to lose. However, the Mets making a splurge for Machado or bringing in a different veteran to give him more seasoning in 2024 can't be ruled out. How the youngster develops in 2023 will go a long way in determining if the Mets have their first permanent solution at third base since the days of David Wright, or if they will need to go shopping once more next off season. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens though in the future. And let's see what else we have to talk about here. Um Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Um, let me see. Did I talk about? Let me see how many topics we covered today. Let me take a look here. Um, yes. So, all right. So let's see. So the Mets are preparing for um big plans, and this is the big plan here. The Mets' first official workout of spring training will be next Wednesday, but shortly thereafter, actually, yes. So this was yeah, thereafter. So, um, thereafter will come the inevitable feel of the team's complex in Port St. Lucie, Florida, turning into something of a ghost town. With as many as 12 Mets players headed to the World Baseball Classic, which will take place from March 8th to the 21st, manager Buck Showalter is bracing for a potentially abbreviated look at the team he plans to deploy on opening day. We are excited and proud that they are going, but they can't come back and be way behind. Showalter said Tuesday in Manhattan at the 43rd annual Thurman Munson Awards dinner benefiting the AHRC New York City Foundation. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. I had to turn the volume down due to the planes. All right, so let's keep going with this. Um, you worry when guys start their clock up that quickly, but the WBC is good for the game, I am told, and that is the bottom line. It enhances our game globally, and I support it. But I am, excuse me, but I am looking at it selfishly from what's best for the New York Mets. Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, Brooks Raley, and Adam Ottavino, Francisco Lindor, Edwin Diaz, and Michael Perez, Eduardo Escobar, and Omar Narvaez, Jose Quintana, and minor league pitchers Cameron Opp and Claudio Scotti all will be in the WBC mix. Rosters for the event will be announced Thursday. I will look that up in a couple of seconds when I get off the air. The defections of the WBC could leave an ample amount of playing time in the Grapefruit League for rookies such as Francisco Alvarez, Brett Baty, and Mark Vientos, all of whom will be trying to show their worthiness for spots on the major league roster to begin the season. Um, and I told them to bring both uniforms, gray and white. They are going to get a lot of playing time, Showalter said. We will get a good look at them. The good thing is they will come in and try not to rush the guys that are leaving. The worst thing would be for somebody to leave and go and not play in the WBC, and I have voiced that to the managers. Showalter will be paying attention to see whether the Mets are sending the most players of any MLB team to the event. It would be interesting to go through all 30 teams and see what the number is for each one. Showalter said, wouldn't you think that to keep a competitive level for spring training, you might have a limit so somebody wouldn't gain an advantage over somebody else? I know the guys really want to go. There's nobody forced to go. I know talking to them, they are all excited about it. Health will be a paramount concern. Part of the reason players such as Max Scherzer and Starling Marte won't participate in the WBC. Scherzer spent two stints on the injured list last season with oblique strains, and Marte underwent off-season core surgery. For me, it's like when I had the great fortune of managing in the All Star game in 1995. Obviously, you want to win the game and get everybody in the game. Showalter said, but my big thing was turning everybody healthy. When I talk to these guys, the communication to has got to be there. Okay, all right, let me look up the schedule. Let's look at the schedule of the games that's coming up. Okay, hold on. Okay. So the first game of spring training is going to be on Saturday. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. It's good. It's going to be a double header. Actually, excuse me. It's going to be a double header. One is with the Astros Saturday, February 25th, 1:05 p.m. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which channel is going to be on, but most likely, let me find out. Let me find out which channel is going to be because this is interesting to see. I need to really. This is interesting to see because I like to see. Okay, here it is. Um, hang on. Oh, sorry about that, folks. I was trying to look for the scheduling of the spring training Mets and the channels is going to be on. I'm sorry for lowering the volume. Um what I need to do is I think let me see because I know some of the games are going to be on SNY if I'm not mistaken. Some of them is going to be on SNY. I have to really look at this. Um, Let me see. Hang on a second. Okay, here we go. All right, here it is. Here it is. So this is from AmazingAvenue.com. As baseball season draws near, SNY announced its spring training schedule for the start of the 2023 Mets season. The first Mets game on SNY will be on Saturday, February 25th at 6:10 p.m. against the Marlins at Clover Park. Everyone's favorite trio of Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, and Ron Darling will be on the call, along with Steve Gelbs. In addition to game coverage, SNY will also host Hot Stove live from Clover Park on Wednesday, February 22nd, and Thursday, February 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Max Scherzer, and Justin Verlander are all set to appear on the show, as well as manager Buck Showalter. SNY social channels will also have coverage of Buck Showalter and the player media sessions, coverage of on-field workouts, and other exclusive player and coach interviews. The full broadcast schedule, which includes date, opponent, time, and network, can be found below. And all right, so here's the list. So listen to this, folks. You can check your local listings too if you're not in the New York area too. And for those of you that's living in the East Coast, you can also check your local listings as well, especially if you are a New Yorker like myself. You can also hear these dates actually. So check this out. February 25th is the starting date for the Mets versus the Marlins, 6:10 p.m. on SNY. You have February 26th versus the Nationals, 1:10 p.m. on SNY. March 2nd versus the Braves, 1:10 p.m. SNY. March 3rd, Mets versus Nationals, 1:10 p.m. SNY. March 9th, Mets versus Venezuela, 1:10 p.m. on SNY. March 10th, also on SNY, Mets versus Astros, 1:10 p.m. And on Pix 11, March 12th, Mets versus Rays, 1:10 p.m. March 14th versus Nationals, 1:10 p.m. SNY. March 15th, Mets versus Cardinals, 1:10 p.m. also on SNY. March 17th, Mets versus Marlins, 6:10 p.m. SNY. March 19th, Mets versus Cardinals, 1:10 p.m. SNY. March 22nd, Mets versus Astros, 1:10 p.m. SNY. Obviously, I forgot about March 15th versus the Cardinals, which is also going to be, it's a double header. Wow. So a double header of the Mets versus Cardinals, which is 1:10 p.m. on SNY and 1:10 p.m. And and the second game, which is the Mets versus the Cardinals, is at 6:10 p.m. on Pix 11, March 15th. And also March 26th, Mets versus the Marlins at 4 p.m. No, excuse me, 4:10 p.m. on SNY. Mark all your calendars for all these games to watch either on TV or in person. If you plan on going out to the ballpark, you can get your tickets and stuff. So you can watch the Mets in action, play with different teams. And of course you can bring your kids too if they want autographs and stuff. So that's pretty much it for this episode right here, man. And and for more information, if you want to know about the scheduling and stuff, you can go to amazingavenue.com. All right. So you can check out the schedule for yourselves along with the channel of SNY TV and which games are going to be on Pix 11. All right. So there you go. And I think that's going to be it for this episode right here, man. All right, our last segment of the night consists of stream choices on the go, man. Let's get to it. Hang on. Yeah, stream choices on the go, man. All right. Let me wait for this to load up. Yes, here it is. Here it is. All right. All you sports supporters out there, man. If you like what you heard in today's episode, especially today's episode or any previous episodes whatsoever, why don't you go ahead and show your love by following the sports platform Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, the Sports Edition show on Instagram, alongside with the review show Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast. And also follow my other show that's also on social media, which is Facebook of Off the Meat Rack Chains New York podcast on Facebook and Instagram, as well as myself. You can go to the primary handle of your homie right here, G Money Stacks, which is G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. And be sure to turn on your notifications on when each episode is going to be dropping, and and be in the know on any questions that I'm going to be put up on the podcast show page, which I will try to see if I could look up, I could come up with and stuff. So, and look, I am so looking forward to baseball, man. You know what I'm saying? And this is going to be an interesting spring training game to watch. Now, even though I may not be able to watch certain baseball games that starts at 1:10 p.m. on SNY or Pix 11 because of work. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna see what I could do to actually come up with some topics, some sports topics for you folks out there, especially the upcoming episodes that's coming up. And we're gonna get more sports topics and stuff. So speaking of sports topics, man, you can go to the link in bio on the gram, and you're gonna see a whole list of audio streaming platforms that's gonna be in there. You can also leave a voice message on anchor.fm/gmoneystack0/message. And of course, if you have any comments or whatever you want to discuss in today's episode, as far as like the topics that's being discussed, you can go ahead and do that on the gram. All right. So speaking of the gram, man, and speaking of Anchor, that's what we're going to start with right here. So let's do this. Let's go. Anchor or that Audacity, Audible, Amazon Music, Breaker, Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podfriend, newly latest stream platform is Podhound, Podopolo, Podorama, Podcast Addict, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Reason FM, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, iHeartRadio, the number one app for music, radio, and podcasts. And you don't need a credit card or a debit card to download iHeartRadio or any of the apps that I just mentioned. And you can also make sure you follow this podcast platform right here, Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Podcast, Sports Edition Show, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast review shows also on there as well. And Off the Meat Rack Chains New York podcast is also on there as well. So, last but not least, make sure you go to the YouTube channel sports page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast. Click on the noti bell along with the alerts, so you can be reminded of when the show goes on the air via live stream, along with the day and time of the live stream recording. Leave a like and a comment along with the episodes and sports topics. And be sure to stay tuned for more video content, upcoming episodes, previous episodes, whatsoever. And most importantly, download these episodes. Be sure you listen, stream, and watch these episodes whatsoever. Share the episodes, share the videos, especially most importantly, be sure to tell a friend to another friend. Spread the word. Word of mouth is important. And especially share the link where it says Linktree/Excellent Fun Vibrant Podcast, which is also on the gram as well. Make sure you share that along with the podcast with your husbands, your wives, your girlfriends, boyfriends, friends, and the people you are cool with from work, and the people you are that you met, whether at a party, whether at a block party. It could be festivities, it could be picnics, it could be wherever you meet new people, man. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you tell everybody and spread the word. All right. And that's gonna do it for me. I'm your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in and rocking with me and hanging out with me on episode 57. In terms of the cause and effect of the supposedly new New York Mets teammate, which didn't happen, in terms of Carlos Correa, of course. And tell us what you think about the sports topics that we covered today, especially this is baseball season now that football is over. And yes, remember, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and you have to earn it. And of course, be sure to find something and look for something that clicks to you, that makes you smile, that you love to do. Creatively, physically, spiritually, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And of course, be confident in what you do. Find your voice, be comfortable with how your voice sounds, and of course, be on your P's and Q's on a consistency basis that gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, man. Stay liquid. Be careful out there. I hope y'all have a nice weekend. And be careful out there. Reach out to your loved ones, especially if they're going through something mentally on the inside that's that's dark and painful. If you take a risk, you're gonna get rewarded. So there you have it, folks. Peace and one love. And I'll see y'all next time in episode 58, which I will be recording that surprise emergency recording tomorrow. So, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll see y'all on Tuesday. So, peace and one love. I'm off this shit. Thank you. Good night, everybody. And be safe out there, man.